morning and welcome to Bishop's Roundtable. I'm Lori Thompson and I'm sitting in for Bishop Anthony Thompson this morning. And we have a beautiful, wonderful guest with us and we're just going to introduce her. We're here to talk about a father's fight. And hopefully you will learn some information that will be beneficial to you, to someone that you may know. So we just ask that you tune in with us, call someone to let them know if they need any assistance concerning a father's fight, that they can tune in here to Bishop's Roundtable. This morning we have with us Shaunita Bolden. So welcome.
Welcome. Good morning. Good morning.
So glad to have you.
Thank you, ma'am. So good morning out there, viewers. I am Shaunita Bolden, and I am the CEO of A Father's Fight. And I have been blessed with the opportunity to come and share a father's fight with you guys. Utilizing the Bishop's Roundtable, Miss beautiful Lori, and I am excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you here. We met you last year,
yes,
and that was truly a blessing, and kind of got an understanding about some of the things that your organization does. And so we just wanted to feature that here today because it is so very important to us to understand the importance of that father in the family. And we know that biblically, that's the way the Father set up life for us, is that Father is there. I've heard people say is that gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. So he is the one that kind of orchestrates what the family structure is supposed to be like. And his example is our Heavenly Father. So he has everything set in order. And so one of the things that we love is order. So we want to come and put order back into that family structure. So can you tell us a little bit about a father's fight?
So I was about to pull out my change purse and she was preaching and I was ready to throw an offering, a seed offering on the word. Absolutely right. So a father's fight, I can go into, we established February 2019, and it came from a question. The question my son had, he's a 22-year-old college student. Okay. He came to me one day and he was a little disgruntled about his treatment and fighting for his rights for his daughter. So he was talking to me on the phone one day and he said, Mom, he said, what about us? He said, nobody cares about the fathers out here that's trying to do the right thing, that want to be a part of their child's life. No one cares about us. And he went on to say, we either have to do what we're told by the mother or we have to walk away. He said, because me being a college student, I don't have money for a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Right. I wouldn't even know when to go get one. All I know is if she tell me I can, and if she tell me I can't, I can't. And he said, nobody cares about us. And that's how a father's fight was created. I said, son, well, let's get out here and do something. Okay. Let's help somebody like you. And so we established to be able to share information on what he's going through, to be able to bless another father that might find himself in the same situation and empower them. Just to give them knowledge, let them know that, hey, you can do this, or you can go out and you don't have to just walk away. You don't have to just, do what someone tells you to do. Stand up and fight for your rights. So that's what we're about.
So you are an advocacy organization?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are out here advocating for fathers. We're out here spreading information as we learn from state to state, letting fathers know that, you can do something. What we realized in starting this organization is that the depression rate for fathers and the suicide rate is alarming. We realized that fathers do go through depression and some even kill themselves because they miss their children just as much as a mother do. When we talk about the good mothers. We're talking about. So we realized in establishing this organization and getting out here and connecting with different fathers from cross state lines, that there are fathers out here that want their God-given right to be respected.
Go ahead. I'm so sorry. And that's very interesting because you really don't see that part of it. mostly what you see or what you hear about is what they have labeled a deadbeat dad, the ones that's not doing what they need to do. And they could be put in that category by mistake. They may not be able to do anything.
Absolutely.
And so therefore, that the response of how they respond may not be as positive as those that really are basically out there trying to do more and won't accept no for the answer. Is that your final answer, basically? But I would not have thought that that was happening with depression and suicide.
It's at an alarming rate, and I wanted to pull up that statistic, and I do have it on my page and out there on my platforms, my social media platforms. But as I start to learn more and dig into, we look at men as cold, maybe sometimes cold nature. Oh, they just walk away. Oh, they don't care about their children. They don't care about the women. They don't care. We look at that because that's the picture that society wants us to paint. But the real facts of the matter is if you dig in it, I wouldn't have been exposed to this environment had my son wouldn't have said, Mom, who cares about me? Who cares about this type of father who was at a college and was playing basketball and rearranged his whole college life and left a basketball team to be closer to his daughter. Didn't even get an opportunity to play ball once he changed colleges as a walk-on. But he said, hey, I got to sacrifice because I have a daughter out here now. My number one responsibility is this.
So the priorities changed.
Priorities changed. He's not even telling his mama until he made the change that he was going to make that change. And what his mama could only say was, son, you do have a responsibility. If you can't play ball, you can. But if you got to move to get closer, then you got to go handle your business. Not knowing that 3 months later, he could have stayed where he was at. He could have went to Spain last year. He got looked at from a team. But he decided no, because if there's a court date and I miss it, I'm out.
Exactly. It's like there's no forgiveness.
Not for the man.
Yes.
So what we decided to do, like I said, being introduced into this arena. And when you have children, sometimes our children can bring us into some stuff we ain't never thought about. But boy, for them kids, when we knock down doors and turn down buildings and, choke folks. We're going to go and keep it 100. And so for him, being able to see his depression, not knowing the suicidal rate and all this, because I'm new to this world, but seeing my son as a happy-go-lucky guy, he kind of has my energy. We just clowns. Bless the Lord. And then being able to go and hearing his voice, the pain. When I flew to North Carolina to see my boy, to see that he's not even dressing like he's more like this. He's not talking. He's just in his phone. When we're around, we clown, we dance, have a good time. I saw the depression in him. Okay. So I had to pull him up. I said, no, come on, son. We still got a whole life out here. And in the meantime, as we're working to along this journey to see her, you better put your clothes on and get back out there and look cute.
Right.
Or handsome. You better hold your head up.
It's like, don't lose yourself.
Don't lose
in
yourself.
The process.
So seeing him and having to go physically from Mississippi to North Carolina to get my boy together, I was introduced into this world of understanding that men are killing themselves out here.
Okay.
Because they're missing their children or because they can't afford to fight no more. They done ran out of funds. They done ran out of this. Every wall and every, door they think is opening closes in their face and they give up. But nobody talks about that.
Okay.
Well, I'm here to tell you, they out here killing themselves over their children. And this is real life. This is not a game. It's not a game. And I will fight to the end to make people pay attention and give them the respect. It's not me having a child and I'm a woman. I get to tell you what to do when you're a man. We need to go back to the basis. And the basis is what you was preaching on. And if I had $1, I would have went on through it at you about the order and how it was intended.
Yeah, the original intent of what the Father has set up. Whether we are believers or not, the laws are already in place.
Absolutely.
Whether I believe that gravity exists or not, the law of gravity is already in place. And so if we have those natural laws, we also have spiritual laws. Those spiritual laws are there to guide us in how we need to live our life here on earth.
Absolutely.
And so I can tell that just with you mentioning your son, that was your motivation for a father's fight.
That's exactly where it came from. It came from his motivation, his drive, and his physical fight. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, son, I'm going to fight alongside you. And I said, as long as you're fighting, I'm going to fight. If you decide you want to throw in the towel, I'll walk with you. Whichever way you decide, I'm going to go with you. That's it.
Okay. So even though this fight may seem like it's narrowing in on just visitation or being able to be with your child, it really kind of expands to so much more, because you're helping them to remain in contact with their child or children. You're also helping them to maintain their sanity.
Exactly.
And to keep them alive so that they can be able to experience their child and for their child to experience them.
Keep them encouraged.
Right.
Letting them know that they're not the only ones out here fighting. You're not by yourself. Because sometimes a father would hit me up on my social media platform, and they feel like they're out here by themselves. And then I normally get the, oh my gosh, you're a woman fighting for men. Because majority of the time, men don't even feel like we really care about them unless they're doing something for us.
Right.
You done paid these bills, you done bought me this car, my hair, my nails cute. No, you guys need to, fathers and men need to know you're way more important than that. You're way more important to the order that was set. Mm-hmm. And I need them to know that don't let nobody snatch your God-given right. Because being a father was a God-given right. Yes. Not a woman's right, not a family court right, not a Judge Judy or Judge Brown or who else out there. None of them.
Right.
But they are supposed to be in place to enforce the order, or to, make sure that the policies are running the way they're supposed to. But your God-given right came from God. Know your place and stand in it. Stand firm.
You definitely have to. And I was, as you were saying that, I had been reading about fathers, and I came across Psalm 78 in 5, and it says, for he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel. So that's our order. He's already set that up for us, which he commanded our fathers. Mm-hmm. Now, in some translations, I know you may see parents, but we have to go back to the original. He says fathers.
Absolutely.
And then he goes on to say in his word that they should make them known to their children. Mm. So that father needs to be in place. Now, we can understand if the father is deceased and no longer around.
Because there's a scripture for that, and it says that God takes care of the fatherless.
So if there's an uncle, a cousin, a grandfather, they are to take up that role as the father, to step up and teach that child. And we will probably see a lot less activities with our children that's negative when we allow the fathers to be who they need to be in the lives of their children.
And us women, we get what we need to be, and knowing our place and our role, because the mother and the father brings different dynamics to a child. And they instill different values into the children. And, we're just talking about the way that maybe it was designed. And we understand as life happens, and sometimes that order, it gets changed.
Exactly.
And so you do the best with what you have. So me raising 2 children, mainly a single mother, I had to do the best that I could do to show or maybe bring somebody involved to help my children with that male role. But if there's a willing participant in his role, we should allow them. And that's really what a father's fight is for.
That is wonderful. And as I said, so needed in our communities, in society, that they will know that they have someone that they can at least make contact with that will get them on the right road.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about a little bit about you're coming up on your first year anniversary. You guys see all the energy that's here.
I'm here for it. He said, I have time today.
Okay, great. So I understand that February 2nd is going to be your first year anniversary.
Absolutely, and I am excited about it now. I was planning this big, huge A Father's Fight it's a vibe, event party, come together type dinner. However, I'll be in California.
Oh, you will?
Yeah.
Okay.
My government job. I work for the federal gov, and I will be out in California. But more to come on that. But yes, February 2nd will be our 1-year anniversary, and 2019 has been a blessing for A Father's Fight. It has been. We have done some great things. So
that is wonderful, and we're going to talk about those things as we move on past that. But as I said before, wonderful to have you here today. And we will be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with A Father's Fight.
Why does the system make it so hard for fathers? Why is it so hard for fathers to get custody of their children? Why, as a father, do I have to work so hard to prove that I deserve to be in my child's life? These are just a few of the questions that I'm asked on a daily basis by fathers who are seeking help on how they can establish and enforce their rights as a father. I'm Marissa V. Grayson, family law attorney, author, and speaker. And you're watching Life, Law, and Order, where I share tips on how to stay ahead of the game in your life and legal affairs. In this video, I'll be sharing 3 action steps that fathers can take in order to establish and enforce their rights. So why is it so hard for fathers to exercise their rights as a father? Yes, I do agree that, as with any other system, the family law court system can present its own set of flaws. And in some cases, it may be the actual system that is causing a father to have difficulty when it comes to exercising their rights as a father. However, in most cases, what I've found is that the number one reason that fathers are having such a hard time exercising their rights as a father is their failure to act. By failure to act, I mean failure to take immediate action. Rather, what usually happens is that fathers usually wait until there's an emergency situation, when there's drama going on, when they're pretty much fed up with what's going on with their situation with their child's mother, and then they decide to take the action steps that they need to take in order to enforce their rights. Here are 3 action steps that fathers can take in order to make sure that they have rights to their children as soon as possible. Establish your parental rights. From the time that a child is conceived, that child is carried by his or her mother. The mother gives birth to the child, absent extreme circumstances. Once a mom is pregnant, and once the child is born, that mother essentially automatically has rights to that child. Because after all, you can't dispute maternity. Fathers, on the other hand, can dispute paternity. Because fathers don't go through pregnancy and childbirth, they can pretty much dispute paternity at any time. That's why you have all of these instances where you see guys saying, "Oh, I'm not the father, it's not my baby," because you pretty much can't just automatically say this is that man's child without DNA. A lot of times, fathers mistakenly believe that just because they sign the voluntary declaration of paternity when the child is born, that automatically establishes legal rights to the child. When it comes to legal custody rights, you have to actually take an additional step and establish paternity through the court system. For this reason, it's important that fathers establish paternity as soon as reasonably possible after the child is born. That means that once you find out that your child's mother is pregnant, you need to go ahead and start taking an initiative to prepare to establish paternity in the court system. No matter how good your relationship is at this very moment, it may not always be that way. So it's very important for you to take proactive steps rather than being forced to take reactive steps once the drama hits the fan. Establish custody of your child. Establishing custody is going to determine who is going to have the rights to custody of your child in the event that you and your child's mother can't come to an agreement. If you and your child's mother separate, as soon as you separate, it's important that you try to establish custody orders ASAP. It's important that you act immediately because when it comes to determining custody, one of the factors that the courts often use and give a lot of weight to is the status quo of the parties. So if you establish custody right as soon as you separate from the other parent, it's a lot easier for you to gain an equal share of custody of your child as you and the parent don't have any extreme circumstances such as abuse or things of that nature. If, however, you wait until months and months and months have passed after you and the other parent separate, then if that child has been living with the mother for the last 4 or 5 now you have to convince the judge that it would be more beneficial and in your child's best interest to disrupt what's been going on. A lot of judges are reluctant to disrupt what a child is already accustomed to. So for this reason, again, no matter how good your relationship is with your child's other parent, and no matter how good you think things are going, and you guys get along, and you pretty much just do custody based on a day-by-day basis, it's important that you establish some kind of custody ASAP, legally, through the court system, so that in the event that one day, one of you wakes up and says, I'm not giving my child to that person, the other person will have the rights that they can be enforced because they're written court orders. Without a court order, you are essentially setting yourself up for the drama. So make sure that you establish custody ASAP. It's important that if for some reason the other parent decides not to follow the order, that you take steps to document their failure to comply with the order, and that you enforce the order as soon as possible. A lot of times what happens is one parent will completely just say, I'm not following the orders. The other parent just sit back and say, well, she's not letting me see my child. Instead of taking actions to make sure that he can see that child, what he does is he pretty much just lets time go by. So 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months goes by and he hasn't seen the child. And then we have a problem because the status quo has been disrupted. And the mom then has an argument and says, well, he hasn't seen his child in 6 months. My child doesn't even know who he is anymore. So for this reason, it doesn't matter if it's just the first time that they violate or the second time or the 5th time. As soon as they violate, you need to make sure that you document it by filing a police report and, if possible, requesting that law enforcement agencies enforce the order or by going back to the court to ask that the judge enforce the order. If you take these steps, enforcing your rights as a father will be way less difficult than it would be if you do not follow these steps. Usually by the time people come to my office seeking help enforcing their rights, it's because these 3 steps were not followed. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Bishop's Roundtable. I'm Lori Thompson, and I'm filling in for Bishop Anthony Thompson. So we are here with Shaunita Bolden, the owner, founder, CEO of A Father's Fight. So in this segment, we're going to learn how to get in contact with her. We want you to be well equipped and know exactly what that needs to be done in order for you to contact her. If you are a father and you are fighting for the rights to see your children, if you're a grandmother, if you are a cousin and just know someone, so how would we get in contact with you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So here's the thing. I am on pretty much all of the social media platforms. Facebook is my biggest platform, and on Facebook, it's A Father's Fight. If you need to find me on Facebook, it's just simply A Father's Fight. It's also A Father's Fight on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm also on LinkedIn as Shaunita Bolden, and you'll see this wonderful shirt with my beautiful face on there if you click on my LinkedIn page, and it will say my title, CEO of Father's Fight. So simple, straight across the board, A Father's Fight, but LinkedIn is going to be Shaunita Bolden with my title of A Father's Fight. I also have a P.O. box, and all of my email information are on those pages as well.
Okay, wonderful. Now, do you work with any are you affiliated with any other organizations that you work with through A Father's Fight?
So through A Father's Fight, I am not affiliated with any organizations, but what I do, because social media is a huge platform, right?
Yes.
And you can kind of go out there and find anything you want on social media. So being introduced into this father's rights movement, I have been sharing and following other organizations, some called the Dads Gang. Shout out to the Dads Gang. I love what they're doing out there. Dads Can Too. I've been following and sharing things from pretty much all of the fathers' rights movements. You have one in Mississippi, you have Louisiana, you have Florida. I mean, pretty much every state has a fathers' right movement. And so what happens is I tune in to those organizations when they're doing stuff. When they're planning events in their states, I share it to my social media platforms to give fathers in different states opportunities to go and support and just to know that there are other organizations out here fighting for fathers as well. I would have never known about any of these things had I not been indoctrinated into.
Well, that's wonderful. And so with not only with contacting A Father's Fight, if someone does contact you, what can they expect?
So if you contact me, you will expect the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So the truth meaning if I know the answer, I'm going to give it to you. And the truth meaning if I don't know, I'm going to tell you, give me some time to research.
Okay.
And then I'm going to follow through and follow back and give you the info. If I can share a quick story.
Yes, ma'am.
We were talking offline. I did have a father reach out to me with one of, he called it a unique scenario. And it's most important to understand that information and knowledge actually is the key to everything.
Yes.
Because you can't do something if you don't know. And he reached out to me, had a very exciting, different scenario, but moral of the story was he hadn't seen his children in 2 years.
Okay.
Broke up with the mother, and he was just told he couldn't buy the mother. And didn't even know until A Father's Fight came on the social media network that there was a fighting chance to even petition the court to go seek legal aid in his state to see if he couldn't afford a lawyer out of his own pocket, that if legal aid could help him finance some of the court paperwork and this, that, and the third, or teach him how. He didn't even know until I came on scene.
Okay.
So he reached out to me, and he was just going off of, she told me no. So I hadn't seen him in 2 years. And then he was able to follow through on the information as to, hey, in your state, try legal aid. If legal aid can't help you, then, we'll keep on finding whatever the avenue works. And we found something that worked, and he was able to, establish some type of visitation.
Okay.
Where he first thought I just had to sit on the side of the curb and twiddle my thumbs and wish upon a star.
Right. And possibly never see my children again until they are old enough
to reach out to me.
Exactly.
And it's a blessing to be able to just share the information and the knowledge. We're learning as we go. And every step that we take and every step that someone else reaches out to me and they take and they share it with me, we share it to the community. And it's just to empower or to share something that somebody might not have known. 2 years, you had no clue, didn't even know who to ask. And then you stumbled upon me, and then I was able to, or this organization, and I was able to share that. So that's what you're going to expect. Now, we've helped grandmothers, we've helped women. It's a father's fight, but it's for anybody that feel like they're not really sure of what to do or how to do it. We're going to try to help you get there and learn as we go.
That is wonderful. And of course, again, that is definitely what is needed for the community to know, how do I go about getting this done? Like you had mentioned something earlier about the understanding, and all thy getting, get an understanding. Yes. I tell my students, the more you know, the more you understand, and the more productive you can be.
And it makes you feel better because it gives you hope. I gave that father hope. Well, wow, right? It's something I actually can do. It's amazing. And like I said, the reward is just out of this world. Like I said, even if it's if we measure it and you say, well, it's a small amount, but it means so much to help somebody else. At least give that father and that child a fighting chance, some shape, form, or fashion. You can't beat that, to me anyway. It's a passion.
So, are there any more success stories that you can share with us?
Well, success stories in other ways, right? So, since February the 2nd, when people hear about Father's Fight, the organization, God has opened so many doors and given us an opportunity to go and just introduce Father's Fight in front of all men organizations, all men, I'll say networking or conferences. I have had an opportunity to go and just share a Father's Fight with organizations that are geared to just men. And then I walk in as this woman and they're like, she gonna talk about what you know. And then I start talking with her fathers.
What can you possibly do?
Yes. And then they'd be like, oh, she on to something. Okay, well, we need to listen. And what else? And what happened? And how can we find you? And just to name a few of, like I said, success stories, just having an opportunity to go out and share Father's Fight. Last year, we got a chance to introduce Father's Fight to like 4 or 5 different events. First plug to CMB Calling Men Back. They gave me the first platform to come into their organization, and they're doing things trying to call men back. The same thing we talked about when you opened up, bring them back into the order and the structure of the families. Well, CMB invited us to come out and share Father's Fight. Then I am affiliated with the Air Force. I got invited, which I didn't even know. The Air Force used to have a football team back in the day. And I got invited to the 8th biannual football, youth safety football reunion, majority all men, and got to introduce a Father's Fight to them from all different states. They came to Keesler Air Force Base.
Wow.
Yes, and I stood right on up there and I was like, yes, I'm happy to be here and y'all should be happy to see me. It worked out well.
And this is why.
And this is why. And it was received, it's always received with open arms. And I got a chance to volunteer at Success Women's Conference this year and got invited to the Man Cave event with, oh my God, these sisters out here, they're doing some great things, trying to, bring men together. And last but not least, we closed the year out with Gulf Coast Jingling and Mingling event, and it was a network opportunity with other businesses and stuff for in the Gulf Coast area. We got to share Father's Fight there, so that's a success story for me that we just started, and we were able to connect with so many different organizations. Now, I do have a warm place in my heart for the COAC.
Yes, ma'am.
They have embraced me. Yes. You might be familiar with them.
I am.
Yeah, okay. They have embraced a Father's Fight. And they have, when I tell you, I have been blessed by the business meetings.
Okay.
The things that they bring into their business meetings. And they talk about things that I don't know about. And I sit and I take notes. And I be like a student in class. And I thank God every time I get in that car that he introduced me, network. I met them through a guy at the jail. They don't even know how I met them.
That's true.
No,
that's true. We don't. I just remember coming to a meeting and
I showed up.
Yes, you can.
Real quick, I'm out representing the Father's Fight and just trying to get down in the court system. I want to meet judges. I want to meet lawyers, right?
Yes,
So I'm walking the street with this, and I go into the juvenile court, and I asked if there's some judges. I want to pass out some business cards. And so the security guard, the bailiff, sitting out there, and he asked me, what is your organization? And we started talking about it, 2 men, older men. And he said, I know this bishop that at one time there was a father that was homeless, that because they don't have shelters for men that are homeless, but women, if you're a woman with children. And so he was able to help this father find shelter or something for, I guess, the father and his kids. He said, you might want to reach out to him.
Wow. Awesome.
I was standing right in the juvenile with my little beautiful shirt on, Father's Fight, and he passed me that information, and I reached out to Bishop Thompson, and that's how we connected. Because I was running around in and out the courts like some person that had no sense, talking to bailiffs, trying to see if I could meet the judge.
Well, just think if you didn't do that.
I didn't do it.
Right.
I wouldn't be here.
I mean, you probably would have eventually met us, but it probably would have taken a little bit longer.
But just, in that day I went to barbershops, passing out business cards. So I made my way down Pass Road to the barbershops, and then I went straight downtown Biloxi, and I went into the circuit courts, and I was walking in there and seeing, is that a lawyer? I'm going to introduce myself. Let them know I'm out here, because I got to let you know I'm out here. And that's how I connected with you guys.
Okay.
And you guys have really blessed my whole entire life. And I'll be ready to sweep the floor and everything.
Well, praise the Lord.
So now that you know on this show,
We love the ones that come in and want to work.
right.
And that is part of Bishop Thompson's vision. I mean, he has a humongous vision.
Yes.
And it's like, only God can help fulfill the vision that he placed inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is for the kingdom to operate the way that it has been designed to operate. And part of that is bringing in people with the expertise that can go out and do this portion, that portion, and this portion.
Absolutely.
It's just all of us working together for the common good of mankind and putting the fathers back where they need to be. Whether, if you don't like him anymore, you don't let that be the issue that keeps that father away from that child, because they need that. They need that connection. They need to know who they are. They need to know where they come from.
And part of who we are is in our fathers.
Yes.
And some of us grow up years and years trying to figure out who we are. And then we sit down with that father and they give us some insight. And then we be like, oh, okay. I'm about 90 now, but
But and we were sharing that before the show, and I was talking about it happened to me as well. I was sharing with you that I found out something about my family over the weekend that I did not know, and I'm like, what?
And see, for me, having a conversation with my father a few years, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I was always told that I was just like my dad, just like my dad. And I heard stories about him, but then sitting down there talking to him, I said, oh yeah, I need some deliverance, because I'm damn. Oh Lord, that generational curse thing, it's real. It's real. Oh man, that's why I act like this. The light came on. Oh, I really do, because I can be aggressive. I can be a very aggressive, female.
No.
I can lay hands. We either praying or not. But I learned that talking to my father all these years. Okay, now I know where this part of me comes from, because I wasn't raised with you. So it wasn't learned behavior. I didn't see it.
Exactly. It never is learned. Because like you were saying, you act just like your father. Okay, well, how is that? How do I act like my father? So, it is so very important, ladies and gentlemen, I said to both, for the females to allow that father to be a part of that child's life. And fathers, it's so important that you are a part of that child's life. I understand more about myself by just talking with my father. I didn't grow up with him. Similar stories. But even my husband said, oh my goodness, you're just like your dad. And we have the same sense of humor, everything. And I didn't know where it came from. So I felt like I was an oddball in the family, because everybody else was, totally different.
Everybody nice except for me.
We would like to thank A Father's Fight for being here, Miss Shaunita Bolden. You have her contact information. You can also get the contact information from the COAC website, and that is Coalition for African American Communities. You can go to mycoaac.org, and we will put up a link that will link you to her. If you need any assistance, give us a call at 228-326-3185. And we thank you for being a part of Bishop's Roundtable. Once again, I'm Lori Thompson. It has been a pleasure talking with you, interviewing you. It has been a pleasure to be here with you guys that are watching. We appreciate everything that anyone does to further the kingdom of God.
We have to do it. I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you. Hopefully y'all see me again one day.
Yes, we have to give maybe we'll have a second one, and that way after your year anniversary, yes, we can come back. So thank you once again for joining Bishop's Roundtable.